Hello and welcome to episode 251 of the Board Game Barrage podcast. Now, listener, I want you to look up in the sky and you see that little jet flying above? That is holding one Mr. Nealon, because today it is the two amigos. It is me, Mark, the green tank, and Kellen, the red tank.
That makes me think of another song.
Which song is this?
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch, old witch, the wicked witch. That's Nealon.
That's Nealon, the witch. Yes.
Everyone would pick him to be the witch of the three of us.
I think that's an easy call. I think that's obvious. I think all the listeners would agree. Yes, Nealon is not with us. He is flying home to South Africa. So, yeah, if you're looking up in the sky, there's a chance he's up there. But only if you're looking up as we're recording this, which is not the day that you're listening to. So you probably missed him. So anyhow, on today's episode, the Nealon lists, two of us, are going to be talking about something that I've been thinking about a lot recently. Is we've been playing a lot of games on BGA, at least I have, and I think Nealon has as well. I've been thinking about how playing games so many times on BGA can sort of affect not only a person's opinion on that game in particular, but gaming in general, and how playing one game over and over again in this digital way, while it has a lot of benefits, can also have maybe some disadvantages. Games that I've been playing online that maybe I went in not really liking, but the chance to play them over and over again have made them more interesting to me, and I really want to dive in. And some games that I thought I really liked, now given the chance to play them over and over again in rapid succession without having to set up or anything, I find myself sort of waning on them. And so how does the digital aspect of games, like this digital opportunity we have to play all these board games, how is it affecting the way that we see games? I know personally it's affected my opinion on a number of games and whether or not I feel like I need to own them, or just how I feel about them in general. So we're going to be doing that a little bit later. But before we do, we're going to be talking about the games that we've played. Kellen is going to talk about Splendor Duel, and then I will be covering Seize the Bean. Kellen, Splendor Duel.
Savvy listeners to the podcast will remember that Nealon and I shared some first impressions of Splendor Duel coming out of Gen Con, one of the releases that we were most excited about because we all love the unkillable Splendor. But Christina and I have had a chance to play Splendor Duel a few times over this past weekend, and I wanted to just touch on it a little bit more. Splendor Duel is a two-player version of Splendor. Splendor being the game where you're collecting gems to collect cards of gems, which give you gems, and then suddenly you're better at collecting gems than any other gem collector in the arena. And it has that amazing feeling of you're always getting better and better at collecting gems, and cards that once were challenging for you to get, you're just picking up for free. And that's what feels so good about Splendor. And then in Splendor Duel, you layer onto that system a board, essentially, where you are picking up the gems. In Splendor, you just say, I want a red one, and a blue one, and a green one. And in Splendor Duel, you actually have to evaluate a grid and choose 3 in a row, either vertically, horizontally, or diagonally. In addition to that, a lot of the cards have special powers on them. Some of them take that, steal a gem from your opponent, take an extra turn. And then there is this concept of favor, which is a system that if you want to replenish the board to have better options for which 3 gems you want to take, you can grant favor to your opponent, or privilege rather, and they are able to pick up any gem they want sort of out of turn order. So it's the same core game of Splendor, which is collecting gems in order to get cards that give you free resources. So you could become, like I did, the King of Emeralds, right? That's a well, it's a green, so there's a little problem there. Not super befitting of Kellen now in the red tank, but in real life, if you knew me, King of Emeralds.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty normal. I got up to where I could pick up 6 emeralds for free.
Holy gee.
6 emeralds. That's a King Lee.
Yeah,
right?
that is, yeah.
And, right, like that feeling is just super great because at the beginning of the game, a card costs 1 green and 1 red, and you're like, this is going to take a while. And by the end of the game, you're just picking up half the cards for free. And that's the fun of the engine builder, of engine building, and Splendor has that simplicity. Splendor Duel also has 3 different victory conditions, which I think is lovely, a lovely addition, which is that it's 20 points overall, 10 points of a specific color, or 10 crowns, which is like basically an additional resource or additional thing that's on some cards. And so you kind of don't know what the other person is going for at the beginning to middle of the game. And then by the end, they could kind of sneak in one of those. And so it does provide a little bit more counterplay in terms of what card someone is going for. I find in the original Splendor, especially in 2-player, near the end, you could go, oh, that card is going to be perfect for Mark. And then you could just reserve it. Whereas in Splendor Duel, there's a little bit more to that decision tree, so to speak. Here's the TLDR, right? Mark, you've not played Splendor Duel yet.
I have not, no.
It's great. It's really good.
Okay.
It's really good. I am excited to own it. The box is also a lot smaller. So this is the first time I got my hands on the box. You know, at Gen Con, they don't show you that, right? They hide that from you. You don't know. Because the Splendor box is one of the most obscene boxes in all of board gaming. Yeah. And I think that it might be possible to fit all of Splendor and Splendor Duel in the Splendor Duel box.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's a little, I don't know, what is this, like when time folds on itself? Paradox.
Yeah, perfect definition of paradox.
Consolidation. The chips are smaller for what it's worth.
Okay.
But Christina prefers Splendor. And I'm going to use a little bit of base Splendor, not Splendor Duel. I'm going to use a little bit of terminology here. Splendor Duel is basically gamery, quote-unquote, Splendor. And it's like, yeah, that's great for gamers, right? For capital G gamers. But when someone says, oh, it's the more gamery version of something, right? It's like, it almost violates the core premise for me of what Splendor is, which is like, it's that satisfaction of becoming the King of Emeralds and then having that just sort of be your game. And in this case, you have to evaluate a lot more things going on, and it's like fun in that way, but it sort of lessens the focus on that core thing, right? Because suddenly it's like, I could get that card, and that card would be great for me, but there's 3 in a row of really important gems that it's probably worth still taking, even though it's not, you know, that engine. And so sort of that core central fun of Splendor, it's like I can't immediately say Splendor Duel is better Splendor for 2 players. I can just say it's the gamery version, which is a little bit of a cop-out, a little bit of...
Sounds like you're saying it through like gritted teeth.
Yeah, because I don't like saying that. It's like, oh, it's the gamer, you know, it's like... What do you mean? Yeah. You know, which is better? I don't know.
So despite you being so reluctant to say gamery, this is still like sort of a coin tossy thing between which one you prefer? You're still, could be this, could be that?
It's like, first of all, Splendor cannot be killed, even by Splendor Duel. I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Right.
But it's like, you know that game that you've played 100 times and like it's a bona fide classic, like bona fide, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's bona fide, like there's just nothing that can be done to it, like impervious to being killed.
Absolutely.
But you're a gamer. See what I'm saying?
I need gamery things.
That's right. And you've become a gamer. And I don't know. And like that's
I didn't even realize it happened to me. Like one day I woke up, I'm like, Lord, I'm a gamer.
Somewhere between episode, 150 and 167, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere in that stretch. Yeah, I would say it's like Splendor on its own at 2 players with Christina and I would be just a little dull. Again, you can't kill it.
Yeah.
Don't even think of it. It could be dull. But you can't kill anyway. It's like it's been played out. It's been done. If there was a newbie, right, and not a gamer, it could be a video gamer, but not a gamer, right?
Right.
And I would play Splendor with that person 10 times, not 10 times, maybe 10 times before I would play Splendor Duel with them. With that said, it's still good.
Yeah.
They're both good. I like having both of them. I think that the common criticism people have of Splendor, they're wrong about, which is like there's not enough going on here. This is boring. And it's like, no, you're boring. Splendor cannot be killed. Splendor Duel, quite good. Maybe could be killed. I'm very eager to buy my own copy of this.
I'm glad to hear that it feels like it actually retains some Splendory things to it, because I feel like sometimes when you get duel games, like Seven Wonders Duel, it does have some Seven Wonders aspects to it, but that feels like, for me at least, quite removed. Whereas this, from your description, from what I'm looking at the pictures, does seem to retain some Splendor qualities, some of the engine building stuff and even the chips and how that works.
Totally.
Yeah. So based on what you're saying, I feel like Splendor, and you've basically written this, like Splendor is a game that I could teach to my non-game playing family, and we could whittle away half an hour just playing it while I'm around during the holidays. Whereas Splendor Duel, maybe the hurdle there is a little greater, right?
Definitely. And obviously Splendor, right, goes above 2 players. Splendor Duel, right, there could be no duels more than 2 players. That's something that all true gamers would understand.
That's right.
But if I had to reduce my collection to only the zingers, I would keep Splendor just because I've introduced it to new people so often, and the comment is like, let's run it back, because they got it about midway through, and it's just sitting at that perfect place.
I'm getting the sense that this game probably, while you wouldn't be looking to get rid of it immediately, like if you were looking to pare down your collection, this might not survive a cut.
Correct, but that I'd be excited to play 10 more times, which is like quite a high bar.
Yeah.
So that is Splendor Duel, one that we will be picking up.
I'm excited to try it. You piqued my curiosity. A game that I sought out for a while, as it's pretty hard to get a hold of, which I finally traded for and got to the table, is Seize the Bean. This is a game by Andy Couch and Dylan
Dirty
Howard Cromwell, released by Quality Beast. Speaking of quality, let's start right there. I think I might have traded for the Kickstarter edition, so take this with a grain of sugar. Get it? It's about coffee, sugar, not salt. Anyway, this game features really, really colorful, vibrant artwork, realistic-looking sugar cubes and coffee beans, and super cute little...
Realistic?
Realistic. I mean, you're not going to put actual sugar or coffee in there, right? I guess you could put actual coffee beans.
That was on the Kickstarter page. Realistic.
That's right. I mean, look, these are realistic looking sugar cubes.
Okay.
You should check out the BGG picture of it. Anyhow, and cute little cartons of milk or cream or whatever they're supposed to be. Also, recessed boards, and for a cherry on top, the first player marker is a coffee cup. So production, absolutely top notch. What you're doing thematically in Seize the Bean is, as you might have guessed, trying to create the most successful startup coffee shop. The way you win is by getting the most victory points, which in this game takes the form of 5-star customer review tokens, which is another nice little touch. Each victory token has a little unique 5-star review on it. So whenever you take a victory point token, if you flip it over, it'll have a 5-star review, and each one of them is unique and a little like blurb on it. So a little nice touch there. You can also get negative victory points, which you might have guessed are negative reviews with their own negative text on those. So again, another cute little touch there. The way you play is via a little bit of deck building, a little bit of set collection, and a dash of worker placement. You have only 2 workers. You're never going to get any more. The workers are, of course, baristas. They're known as baristas. That you'll place every turn on your own home board. So no real blocking in that sense. You're not fighting over shared spots. These are just on your own home board. There are 6 worker placement spots. 3 of them are going to let you get more of the main resources of the game, which again are coffee, milk, and sugar. And the other 3 worker placement spots allow you to buff up your coffee shop and therefore build your engine by adding equipment, like different equipment to the store that will make your resource gathering stronger. Add style, which is how they refer to it in the rulebook, to the store, which increases other modifiers like how many customers you attract. And then the last thing you can do, the last worker placement spot, is to recruit customers, which you take them from an array, put them into your discard pile to perhaps later show up to your store, replacing your pretty weak starter cards. Another fun touch is that those starter cards that you have are your friends and family. They each feature a different friend and family, with the idea that when you first open up, the only people who are visiting your shop are your friends and family until you recruit real customers. So again, just a nice little touch there too.
Are you going to give them the disclaimer that you should obviously give?
I will leave that to you. Go ahead and give them the
you want me to disclose?
Yeah, I definitely know this disclaimer, just in case you think I don't. I definitely know what you're going to say next, but I just want you to say it because I think the way you say it is just you little verve on there that I appreciate. Go ahead.
Mark knows absolutely all about coffee.
Okay, untrue. I know. Well, I will say that I am proud of the fact that my favorite coffee is gas station coffee. Give me a styrofoam cup.
Yeah.
Let me put my own sugar. Let me put my own cream. I don't care about how burnt it is. Gas station coffee, my favorite coffee, bar none.
You've heard him, people. Everyone's listening right now and booing you out loud with their artisanal third wave pour overs. And How could
See,
you
I don't even know what a third wave pour over is.
Yeah, of course you don't. Okay. How
right.
could you know if this game was thematic? How could you even review it? Why don't you just? You should have been disclaiming this at the beginning.
That's fair. I'm glad you said it before the end, because the fervor that we would get from people once they found out my true background.
Gas station coffee.
Gas station coffee, my favorite coffee, bar none, and that is a fact, and that is not a bit. Anyhow, you get customers that are giving you victory points, which are these 5-star reviews, and you do this until, like Race for the Galaxy style, all the good review victory point tokens that start out in the game as a big pile. Once they're all taken, that triggers the end of the game, at which point there's also a set collection aspect where whoever picked up the most of a certain type of customer gets a bonus. So the customers come in different flavors. Let's say there's like musicians, there's techies, artists, and whoever recruits the most of each type gets a bonus. I will say that if you end up enjoying this game and can get your hands on them, there are a ton of expansion sets. So like different classes of customers. You have like celebrities and even like board game media. I don't think there's a Kellen Allen card in there yet, but based on your knowledge of coffee, there probably should be. Maybe somebody can mock one up or something. Anyway, so that's if you really, really like it and want more. The question that everybody's asking themselves is, did I like it and did I want more? And the answer is maybe. I think it's a solid light deck builder. I think the production is, again, out of this world. And if you or someone you know is a board game fan who is a huge coffee aficionado, like perhaps the Red Tank, then this is a pretty easy recommend, I'd say. That said, I don't know if it does anything remarkable mechanically. And the setup and teardown can be a bear given all the decks and all the components. As cute as they are, there are a lot of them, and setup takes a little bit of time. Also, there's an issue with the iconography. There's just a lot of different icons, and we often have to refer to the rules to remember what they meant. And that part of it felt like it could have been made simpler. Like, it just seems like there's so many icons, and a lot of them didn't really feel intuitive, so that was sort of a bummer where we had to do a lot of stop starting to figure out what all that stuff meant. But I would certainly play it again. And again, if you want a coffee themed showpiece game, like if you want a game that will attract people when they see it on the table and they see these little sugar cubes being passed around, these coffee cups circling the table, then this is perfect. Just a little hesitant on my part to give it my strongest recommendation, but fun for sure. And that is Seize the Bean.
Mark.
Yes, sir.
Mark. Why are you ending? I'm here.
All right? Go ahead, Mr. Coffee.
You think just because Neelan's not here, no one's going to be scratching itches, but I have questions. Okay?
All right. Bring them.
First of all, deck building is not known for player interaction.
Right.
And you say the worker placement exists only on your own board.
That's correct.
How does one interact in this game? Can you form like a union?
Right. And then the CEO comes in and tries to bust it.
Well, there's only 2 workers.
That's right. So the caveat there is that at least the copy I have has, again, like 30 different expansion decks with like different types of customers. And I think that the different types of customers might offer different ways to play. Same as we would get like in Dominion or something where, one set of cards is like more attacking than the other. So there may be attacky sets in there. I'm not sure. There is also sort of the denial of your opponents. So when you buff up your coffee shop by taking equipment or taking customers or taking the style cards, you're taking them from a common array. And so you can sort of grab them ahead of your opponents if you can sort of tell that they're going for it. I will say that, at least in the base set, we played it a couple times, and the interaction is pretty minimal. And again, I think this is good for this game because this is a light game that I think this is a game for people who aren't looking for anything heavy and are just looking for like a fun production. I think if this game got more complicated or more fighty, that the sliver of the consumer base that would be aimed at would be quite small.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, I think, inviting and like, hey, look how pretty this sort of thing is.
I get
and
it.
The game is solid, but yeah.
It's also got a lot of components, right? It's just like looking at the back of the box, there's a little bit of like, it's very braggadocious, the box, sort of with all the things that you get. But you haven't described the optional dexterity mechanic of the life-size spoon.
Yeah, which we forgoed, but I can say, I think some people like it. So what that is, like, if you go to the spot on your board where you're acquiring more coffee resources, which are, again, coffee beans, there are 2 ways to do it. You can just make it so that whenever you go on that spot, you get 6 coffee beans, or there's a little cute coffee scoop, and you could put all the beans in a cup, and then instead of taking 6, it's however many you can pick up from one scoop.
You are me that this is a rule in the game.
That is a rule in the game. That is a black and white rule in the game.
I can't believe you didn't demand like that. It was the only thing that you just did.
Right.
Who can scoop the most scoops out of this cup?
Who can balance the most coffee on the little scoop? Yeah. I mean, again, it's probably the way we should have played it because, again, this is a solid game. I don't want to say it's like not a well-designed game, but, you know, the big draw is how cute it is and how fun and all the components are. So, yeah, playing with the coffee scoop is probably the way we should have gone, but alas.
I may have known that if you'd been studying up on your coffee.
If I'd known my third wave pours or whatever you said, Dude, I would have realized that's the way to
I actually got out bougied at a coffee roaster this weekend. I went in, you know, whenever I travel, I try to go to like some fancy ass where it's like, this coffee has notes of apples and cranberries. And you're like,
sure.
What?
Okay.
And so normally I just ask for like a darker roast. Okay. And a dark roast. And this woman got the look on her face like I had kicked her dog.
Okay.
And then said that they had no dark roasts, like none in the building.
Okay.
Because darker roasts, right, have like one flavor profile, which is just more like espresso or burnt or like, and like you don't get all the tasting notes of all the like that they put in there.
Right.
But I was like, oh, wow, we've really gone to like next level coffee here. Like I've been out coffeed by asking for a dark roast.
Let me ask you 2 coffee questions. First of all, you say you're an aficionado, and yet you don't really taste the notes. You're not like a note guy, because I certainly can't taste the notes. But I thought that
no, I can taste the notes. Please believe me. I can taste all the notes, every note.
Question. And the other thing is, wait, isn't there a thing about like a lighter roast is actually more bitter, or am I mixing?
No, a lighter roast has more caffeine in it.
More caffeine. That's what it was. Okay.
The darker is just like more burnt, like quite literally.
See. There's less caffeine because some of like some chemical thing. Yeah. Okay.
And it's like a medium roast is like your classic like diner, you know, whatever.
That's what I want.
And
I want the straight down the middle, medium Folgers, whatever.
Yeah, you've proven your your pedigree here. You've never tasted a note in your life.
My only note is coffee. That's the only note I can get. So that is, again, Seize the Bean by Quality Beast Games. Before we get into digital board gaming, just a quick shout out to all you out there who want to help the show. One relatively easy way you can do it that has a lot of impact is to give us a review. Do that wherever you find the show, but especially I guess Apple Podcasts is the most influential way. It really boosts the show up and will get more ears on the show, which is what we would love to have. And so there are tons of ways you can help the show out. You can mention us on social media or to your board gaming friends, or if you really want to get in there, you can support us on Patreon at boardgamebarrage.com/Patreon, where you have access to a bunch of bonus episodes as well as our Patreon exclusive Discord channels where we chat with listeners every day and
get on in there.
Get on in there, exactly. So, yes, reviews, Patreon, tell your friends. We appreciate all of it. Thank you all so much. It means a ton to us. But enough of that. Let's get into this topic that I've been ruminating over for a while here, the influence of digital board gaming on the board gaming hobby in general.
Mark, I'm going to let you finish. Actually, I'm not. I don't want to talk about that. Wait, Mark.
Are you Kellen?
Mark, we're changing the topic right now. There's an epidemic.
We're not.
There's a problem. There's a trend. We have to talk about it right now.
Kellen.
Right now. Mark, I'm serious.
We talked about this. Are you serious? You really can change this up right here.
The episode's it's changed. I decree. I do declare. Okay. Here we go. Here's the epidemic.
I'll let the Emerald King change the topic.
Yeah, the King of Emeralds. Here we go. This terminology thing, right? We've talked about this before, right? And there's a new one. These board gamers, right? People, once they become board gamers, they have this terminology. And that terminology is tabled. Have you seen this, Mark?
Okay, wait. We're going to change the entire episode because you have a problem with the word tabled?
That's right. The episode is about the word tabled. Here we go.
Oh, my God.
People say, what do you say? Oh, what did you do this weekend, Mark? And you say, I played Seize the Bean. Oh, isn't that great? What people are doing now, and this is new. This is cutting edge.
Okay.
Lexicon, terminology, discourse.
Latest lingo.
They're saying, I tabled Seize the Bean.
Okay.
I tabled Splendor. Or, I'm not sure that I want to buy, Puzzle Strike 2 because I won't be able to table it often. Mark, you're laughing. You're laughing at people in our Discord right now. You're laughing.
No, I'm laughing at you.
No. Don't laugh at me.
For
the
this.
diction.
Okay.
Diction is important. It's all we have. Mark our words.
That's right.
Why are people doing that? First of all, that's my hot question. What possible reason could we be substituting the word play for the word table? And are you okay with it? Because I'm not.
Let's see. So, I mean, do you have problems with people saying, I got it to the table? I got Splendor to the table?
No. And in fact, I think that might be the root of it, right?
I'm sure that is.
The phrase, I finally got this game to the table.
Well, okay, so this actually connects to another gripe that I know you have that you've had for a while. And so I'll say for the record here, for those keeping score at home, I think I'm with you in general on tabled. In general. I'm not on the, like, Kellen on the end of the spectrum, but I'm on your side if you had to split it in half.
You're not all in.
But you have a big problem with teach. Do you still have a big problem with teach?
Okay, so this is what scares me. Okay. And I don't know why you're laughing. I'm serious right now. Okay. Because I believe the last time that we did an episode where we talked about stuff like this, and I can't even really remember it, I had a big problem with the teach, right? Yes. And so that was, last year's flavor. That was last year's word going around.
Yeah, right.
Instead of saying
the latest lingo.
Use that in a sentence for people. The teach for Arc Nova was rough.
Yeah, right.
Instead of saying teaching Arc Nova is challenging. That's what like an educated non-gamer might say. But
like the Emerald King would say that.
Yeah. I am coming around on the teach.
Okay.
But I am offending myself, right? Like I'm unhappy with myself. And my fear is that if we don't correct tabling, now, if we don't maybe make it a rule on Discord, that could be a thing where you can't table anything.
Mark,
tabling something is the opposite of that.
I know.
We literally at work say, let's table that discussion when we say that let's set it aside on the table.
Let's talk about your work here for a second, okay?
Okay, great.
Because I remember vividly your anti-teach diatribe from years ago, okay?
Yeah.
And yet you had that diatribe, and then we would talk about what's going on in our work lives or our personal lives, and you would use all this like advertising lingo like it was no big deal. Like, yeah, we stood up this project and all this stuff, and like, wait, well,
stood
up this project?
That's easy. What do you mean? That's easy money. That's just normal words.
I mean, I get what you mean by stood up, but like stood up versus tabled, like.
Well, have you seen Mad Men?
I have not seen the entire
I'm
run.
Don Draper.
That's true. Carousel episode.
Okay, so the argument, right? I'm having to dig for this argument through what you're saying, but I think I understand you, and because it's the two of us, I'll interpret it most generously. Is that in any industry, genre, thing, hobby, there are vernacular, and that's okay, and they evolve, and to outsiders it may sound weird.
Right.
Okay, so the teach might be. I like the teach had some shortening to it, right? Tabling it's not even faster to say. Like that's what I don't get. Like
it to the table tabling.
No, but we played X.
And
we tabled X.
Yeah.
And I asked on Discord. Okay, I'm going to be honest, because this has been ruminating in my brain longer than your dumb topic was ruminating in your brain. And the thing is, people said, "Oh, it's fun." Right? It's fun.
I'm sure that erased all your concerns.
That erased some concerns. And other people said, "Well, like maybe it's to delineate between playing it online or playing it in person."
Yeah,
you could play Race for the Galaxy, right? But did you table it, or were you playing it on BGA?
Right.
Okay. And someone even PM'd me privately and said that she had some concerns with play in a sexual connotation. And that's not even a point I had considered, and it's totally valid that you might not use that word in all contexts to let's play something, or that there could be something there, which is not something I had considered. But overall, it just doesn't strike me as useful. And again, like I think of terms, like I think of Neelan, right? The Wicked Witch. And, you know, he uses that phrase like scratch the itch all the time. And I can't handle it. Right. But like
Wait, so can we take a quick sidebar here just to make fun of Neelan and talk?
Oh, yeah, great. What are your concerns? No, just kidding. This is the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I know. I just want to keep that because they'll never listen to this.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to keep that option open.
But gamer terminology, right? Like even saying gamery, it's a shorthand. Like there's a lot of shorthand that develops. And, you know, my dad who listens to the podcast doesn't understand any of the shorthand. Deck builder, racing, engine builder, all of that stuff helps us communicate more with less. And, you know, we have words on the podcast that mean certain things like, you know, try hard. Like there are connotations. What?
Yuck
fuck. And so, but for me, tabling has no purpose, has no thing. That's the episode. I want you to commit also to the like fighting away tabling, but I'm afraid, right? Because I've come around on the teach.
Yeah, what kind of man will you be in a year?
That's what I'm saying, Mark.
You're gonna look back and say, look, I think I agree with you on the table versus teach because I see the like digital versus in person, but I don't know how often that would be like a point of contention or a point of confusion. Like, is that really something? I mean, I guess there are situations where it could be something that you need to clarify, but it just doesn't seem like as helpful as the teach being like a thing that is a noun, like a part of the game, like a part of the game as much as a component. Like, what are the components like? What's the teach like? It feels more helpful, and tabling just feels a little less useful. So I'm with you in general.
And I mean, I think it's like, again, words can mean anything. I agree that you can pretty much say whatever you want, and I often do, as many people email, say that I'm using words wrong or mispronouncing them, which is fine. But it's like in general, we should be the most, and I'm not using the word inclusive in the capital I inclusive sort of way, but like using simple language that everybody understands is more opening and welcoming and inclusive. It's literally, we played a board game. I don't get it. And, you know, we've done this for 250 episodes. We haven't tabled one game in 255 years, and we won't be tabling them now. Thank you so much for listening to the Board Game Barrage podcast. I don't remember the outro, Mark, and I think you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, I'll take it over here. So we're really just not doing the digital thing.
It's a public service announcement.
We're not doing the digital thing
Mark,
at all.
You got to end with gusto.
I cannot
right,
believe
so they
this
get
is
it. The episode is over. It's done.
Cannot believe this is happening.
You take a stand, Mark.
Take a stand on what?
Tabling.
Look, the elections are going on right now. I will say that I'm not full red or full blue on it. I'm somewhere in the purple. I'm more on your side, but I'm not all the way on one end or the other. But I am happy to hear, look, it's fine that this topic that I've been thinking about, we're going to totally ignore, as long as I get to find out that you are now a teach guy. That's I mean,
let's not get carried away here.
So that's going to do it for the show. Thank you so much for listening. We are on all forms of social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Again, a great way to help the show is to tell your friends, talk about us on social media, leave us a review, or if you really want to, join the Patreon where we are doing, again, a bunch of bonus episodes. A big thank you, as always, to Heart Society for our intro and outro song, What's on Your Mind, Kid? And until next week, when maybe we'll get to my topic, goodbye.
Bye.
Table that.
I want to make a joke, but I'm concerned that it's too provocative any way I go.
What's the joke?
I'm not going to say.
Okay.
But it has to do with seizing the bean.
I mean, you can throw it in there and I can cut it. Okay.
Well, it's already in there. What do you mean?
That's a good point. So, Seize the Bean, a game by Andy Couch and Dylan
Dirty
Howard Cromwell, released by Quality Beast.